Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ModzvilleUSA back with another video. Today we got something I'm very stoked to show you guys to play around with. This is the new Ps2 IDE mod kit from Arthrimus. Very stoked on this one. So if you saw my M2 PS2 video, you're familiar with this. Or if you've seen videos on Gus's IDE Resurrector mod, you're familiar with this idea as well. Now with the M2 PS2, those do not come manufactured. You need to build it yourself from the board, solder all the parts on, get them manufactured, whatever, as well as the flex cable. So if you're just trying to get one of those made, it's going to be a pretty expensive project to do. That and the flex cables themselves were a bit iffy, little too delicate for my liking, and only one-sided. Now the IDE Resurrector cable, those are rad, and you can go buy one from Gus right now, and they work with the off-the-shelf IDE Sd to IDE boards. Issue with that is that those boards only support up to 128 gigabytes. Now it was found in more recent times that these iFlash adapters for iPods to update the mechanical hard drive in those with an SD card or M2 adapters, there's quite a few variations of these. But yeah, it was found that these didn't have that limitation. So Arthrimus made his own flex cable and a power slash SD card board, and this is a very clean solution. I can already tell. I've watched his live stream on it, and it's looking very, very nice. Now the issue I had with the other flexes and many other flexes out there for kits that have the same kind of idea is those are all top side only, so there's no contacts on the back or on the bottom of the board, meaning you have to do like a bridge, and it's just more difficult than it needs to be to get solid connections. Now this has all been addressed in these new flex cables here. As you can see, we've got contacts on both sides for everything, so this will make easy work if you're competent in your soldering. This is going to be significantly easier to install than the previous flex cables that do similar IDE mods. Really liking the design here. Got this board, and yeah, that's really all there is to it. Now if you've been following the channel for a minute, not that long, this is the Ghost Case PS2 that I installed a crystal chip and one of the beta, one of the early retro gems that was sent to me. Very stoked to be circling back to this, as it is a V12. It's capable of having the IDE mod. So we're going to rip this bad boy open. We'll come on in here and we're going to install this new kit. So let's get into it. Let's tear this bad boy down. Okay, so before we go tearing this down, we're going to want to remove this SD card port here from the IFlash Solo. And we've got this plastic connector here that we do not want to destroy. So I'm going to come in here and captain tape up this connector, and we'll flux this all up, introduce some fresh solder to the mix here, go over this with our hot air station, pull this from the board. So let's do it. Okay, connector is taped. We'll go ahead, flux it up, Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be a cut here. Took me quite a while to get this off, but hindsight's 2020, and explaining it will be better than showing it. I didn't see these anchors here, so there's, boom, the four corners, but on this side we've got two extra. So I think the ideal way to do this, or to do it again, you can either like solder and like lift up the corners here, or just snip them. Boom, boom, boom. Not these guys, nothing up here. We can snip these. That way when you're using your hot air, you just focus on this line here and get it up nice and quick, because distributing the heat all across this large surface, it just takes a lot of time. So, you know, the less time we're putting this under heat, the better. Next one I do, I'm going to snip, 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 and then just heat this length right here. Should pull up nice and easy. But yeah, it was kind of a pain to get it off. Got it off. In the future, what I just described, I think, would work out quite a bit better. So let's carry on. Well, alright, we've got her taken apart down to the skibbies here. Still have that crystal chip, got a Picfix right here. Got these on the mod shop, link down below. Shameless plug. So we're focused on this area. As you can see, I had started wiring the M2 PS2 to this one, but stopped. Kind of glad I did, because that would require some pretty serious shell modification to a rather rare shell. And we're focusing on this area here. So I believe we'll get a nice tight shot, and we're gonna start here. So this is Modzville from the future. This is the last thing I'm going to be shooting. And as you can see with the initial install here, we've got some bodge wires going on. Now, essentially what happened is I had some bridging going on here that I spent too long trying to deal with, and lost a couple pads and had to bodge these traces here, scrape some vias over here, wire them up, and all the footage of this working has been with this cable. But Arthrimus sent me another flex cable, so we're going to do it properly without you know, having to bodge something in, and you know, make the install footage a little bit better and more useful. So yeah, I'm gonna pull this out, and we are going to start fresh here with the main flex cable. Well, alright, ladies and gentlemen, I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. So all we missed here, we've got the new flex in. I've tacked down the corner here, just lined it up, tacked down the corner, and I've gone ahead and soldered these vias to these pads here, just to keep it in place. Now what I was saying while I wasn't recording is over here. So we've got this resistor underneath this right resistor package, making it a bit fiddly. So on that first one, you know, when I was working on this, it kept coming up. In this revision, there's no anchors on the board here, so this whole side was, you know, a bit floppy to work with, and I had to go over it to clear some bridges too many times, and ended up losing some pads. So you want to minimize the amount of time that you're soldering to this thing. Since it's double-sided, it should be fairly easy to get a connection. And on the final revision, Arthrimus, I told him, you know, the couple suggestions I had was, you know, anchor points up here to lock it in, and then over here, how this was a bit fiddly. So I pitched using these vias here, these unpopulated pads here underneath, and Arthrimus's latest revision looks great. So he rerouted these traces There's a cutaway for this resistor, so it's less fiddly. You know, it's not floating above. And then an anchor over here as well as up here. So this whole section on the final revision, lock it in first, lock in those anchors, and then solder to this so it doesn't flop around on you. In the meantime, what I've done is I've just added a little bit of UV resin to the side here. Let's top up. Boom. And all I'm going to do is come in here with my UV lamp and lock it in. As you can see, the flux I am using has these UV, I don't know what you call it, but you could tell that there's flux on the board by checking at it or looking at it under UV light. Very neat feature of this flux, helps you clean it up better. Very cool stuff. So this doesn't need to be like the most secure thing ever, like permanently whatever. It's mostly just while we're working here, we don't want this shifting around, which was an issue I had on the first revision. So this should stay in place, and we're just going to come on in, go over each pad, and do our best to minimize our time soldering it. So okay, take it easy. Okay, so I'm mostly concerned about getting a solid connection here, and then we'll go through, clear those bridges real quick. It's all said and done. Okay, so we got some nice joints here. Flux it up again. I'm going to clean my iron tip. Very good. I'm working at 350 at the moment. So in between, I'm just cleaning off my tip to attract the solder to it. We don't want to come in here with wick. It's a bit abrasive for something like this, so we just want to use the iron to clear any bridges we may have, like so. Clean that off, come in, clear it up, bada bing. Okay, very nice. And it's looking pretty good. So I'm going to come in and just clean up these joints here. Very nice. So I'm going to clean this up to make sure there's no bridging. Reflections can kind of make it look like there's bridging sometimes when there's not. So we're just going to clean this up just a little bit for now. And that all looks pretty good. We can come in here with a multimeter, test between them. Okay, we're in diode mode. Testing between each of these on the resistor packages. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Boom. Make sure this is connected here. It is. You can't test from the other side, it's a different circuit. So if you're gonna test, you gotta do it like this. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is do our best to line something up. I'm gonna start with these vias Okay. Alright, very nice. I want to move this up because for me these are the hardest parts to connect, is these pins here to these resistors. And right now they're a little far away, so I want to move these up. I want to adjust a little more. See how we're doing. There we go. I like that. Alright, so I'm gonna lock in this guy here. This guy here. And let's get some of this tension off. Okay. Very nice. Okay, all locked in. So now we can work freely. The most important thing is the alignment, and mostly these guys here, you want to get these as close to those resistors as possible. Otherwise, it's making... you're gonna have a bad time if you don't. Okay, so let's clean those up. We'll do all the easy guys, and then we'll do the resistor package. And last but not least, these resistors here. Okay, do this. Flux these up. Very nice. Okay. Resistor package looks good and clear. Let's test it. No beeps. No beeps. Very nice. And last but not least, we got these resistors. These are tough to get a good connection. So what I am going to do, I'm just going to place it here, and we're going to feed it in. Very nice. That one's good. Oh. So we're starting to float it. So I'm going to get this one connected before we bodge it. Very nice. Flux that up. People only want to text me when I'm filming a video. That's how it goes. It's like the universe knows it's a bad time bad time to text me, and I just gotta do it. Beautiful, look at that. Would you look at that? So we're gonna clean this up, and we should be golden. Okay, and with these vias, the alignment ended up being a little bit shifted. And as you can see, there's these little vias underneath nearby. So I just want to come in with my meter and check that nothing is short to ground. None of these signals should be. And off screen, I've got my multimeter to my left here in diode mode. If you're unsure about a connection, you can come in here for each of these, give them a touch, and you should get a reading on your meter. I'm getting about, what is it? Getting about 700-ish on each. So you can just go ahead, touch the pad, not the component that they should be soldered to. Touch the pads and make sure you get a reading. Also make sure these aren't bridged here, none of these little resistors, because the nearby is grounds here, so that's ground. Make sure this isn't grounded, make sure that's not grounded. Yeah, but you can go ahead and pre-test before you put it all back together that you're getting a good reading on each of these pads. Same for the other side too. Okay, well, now it's time for the SD power board here. Now the way I have my mod chip routed, I kind of need to get this guy underneath, just like that. And this is a nicely designed board here. This fits right in place. So I want to make sure it's sitting flush. Once it is, I'm going to tack it into place. This seems to be hanging up by a millimeter here. Let me double check this. Okay, so it's not sitting completely flush, and I believe the issue is just a little bit too much factory solder on this ground pin here for the USB port. Let me try to soak some of that up. Yep, that did the trick. Alright. So yeah, if your board's not perfectly snapping into place, just wick up or use your desoldering gun on this ground pin. It might be a little off there. Yeah, there's not much wiggle room, which is great because this should line it up perfectly with the front slot. Okay, cool, so let's tack it in. We got this resistor. We got one more anchor. Okay, so let's do the SD card flex cable. This is going to be connecting this board to the iFlash. We'll pre-tin it. I'm going to come back in. Put one corner in. Very nice. Take my tweezers. Make it nice and even. Okay, very good. Don't care for this joint. The last bit here is going to be installing this included 3D printed frame. However, there is an issue in my case where my mod chip's mounted right here. It interferes with the bracket. So with this bracket, I've watched the stream and the iFlash will just snap into place once this is all put together properly. Let me Tetris this. How does this guy go in? Is it this way? No, it's gotta be this way. Yeah, it's like this. So yeah, when everything's screwed in, the iFlash just kind of snaps in place like here-ish. Now unfortunately, in my case, I've got two options. I can either remove my mod chip, find a different placement for it, and rewire it, but I'm not going to do that. Not something I want to do. So what I'm going to do, and you know, don't try this at home, not sure if everything's still gonna work properly, but just for the sake of, you know, installing the bracket, I mean, the main point of this is to have something to screw the DVD drive into, as well as the metal screws here that come from the bottom side of the board. So I'm going to modify mine. I'm going to snip it here and here. And if my iFlash board doesn't snap in properly, I will mount it another way. That is totally fine. I'm okay with that. I just really don't feel like redoing all this wiring for this crystal chip, so give it a snip. Okay, just like that. And I want to flip it over. We'll get this middle screw in here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So even after snipping it, this thing still fits nice and snugly in here. So that wasn't a big deal at all. It's just, I think it's just mostly enclosed to keep the frame, help for alignment, all of that. A little snip snip. Not a big deal. So we're going to flux this up. We're going to come in here. Okay. Okay, sweet. Very nice. We're almost ready to test. Okay. So with it trimmed, the locking mechanism, I believe, is not intact. Like it does still sit nicely in there, but I'm going to want to secure it maybe with some adhesive once everything's tested and good to go. So at this point, I'm gonna reassemble. Alright gang, the audio is jacked up for the rest of this, so I'm gonna do my best to overdub here. We've got the 1 terabyte PNY. These are tested and known to be working, so this is what I got. Not all 1 terabytes or SDs have been tested. I think there are some compatibility issues, so I'll have these linked below. If you want one that's for sure working, get one of these. I want to crack it open here, and here we go. As you can see, that SD slot is lined up perfectly with the vents down below, so no fiddling around. There's no window. Like, if you're doing these manually, there's like, this has got to be perfect. So that is why it's so nice to have these kits designed like this, where it sits in place. There isn't much wiggle room when you're installing it, for a very good reason. It's got to be lined up perfectly. So that is very, very nice. And here we are on U-Launch shelf, held R1 as I was booting with the FreeMcBoo memory card, and we just come in here to MISC. HDD manager is what we want, and it's red, so that is good. Connected yes, formatted no. That's what you want to see. You hit R1, you come on in, you format it. Beautiful, and that's a terabyte right there. Fantastic, yeah, nice and easy. No dicking around, it just worked. So here we are on the desktop. I've popped my SD card into my computer, and we have booted up Wiinhip. Now you want to make sure to right click and run as an administrator, otherwise it's not going to detect any of your hard drives. But yeah, this is probably the easiest way to add games to a PS2 formatted drive. I love it. The only issue is if you're over a terabyte, you're going to need to use different applications, and thankfully we are right here at the max, so we can use Wiinhip. If you're rocking a 2 terabyte, I have an older video on the channel. Try to remember to link that below for a 2 terabyte drive. There's been new apps that have come out since then. I should have those linked in there. They function similarly to what's in the video, like command line kind of stuff. Yeah, it's come a long way since I've made that video. But for our purposes, Wiinhip is great software that works very nice. Down the line, as larger SD cards come out and hopefully get supported, then we will, you'll want to. So this is PFS Batchkit. Very, very rad program. This is new. It's pretty damn simple to use for something. It might be a bit intimidating being a command line like this, but it's all pretty self-explanatory. You could transfer over network and OPL. This is the software I use to add games to XMB on my DESR PSX. Really amazing piece of software. It's just not as user-friendly as Wiinhip, so that's why I want to do my build with Wiinhip. But if you're going over a terabyte, you're going to want to use this. PFS Batchkit. Great, great, great software. Okay, so here we are in OPL. Got a couple games added here. We're just going to boot them up and see how it goes. Now let this game load up. I'm not going to do any cuts here, just so you can kind of see the speeds that we're dealing with. This is IDE, so it's essentially the same as if you had a hard drive plugged into a fat PS2. Solid state storage because it's an SD card, so probably more comparable to an SSD in a fat PS2 here. So load times are very minimal. Everything just loads right up. And we've got an FMV coming up, so let's check. And here we are, we booted up HDD Tester here. We're running number 6, so this is going to test the various UDMA devices, or UDMA speeds like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And spoiler alert, it passed everything with flying colors. This supports all the way up to UDMA 5. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the install. That's the kit. Fantastic piece of hardware. By far, this is the best IDE kind of mod you can do for the V12/V13 PS2 Slims at the moment. M2 PS2, real pain in the ass because you got to build those yourself. There's the one that Mina is making that's going to be rad, I'm sure, once that is all done, and should also work in the PSX. But as of what's available on the market right now, this kit, you can't beat it. This is the best. It's a very good price. Very nice kit, very easy to install comparatively to other options at the moment, and yeah, it works great. These iFlash boards are fantastic. The care that's gone into making sure everything is perfect is very much appreciated, and these are just the best kit on the market. That's all there is to it. Anyways, thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Leave a like if you liked it, sub if you're new around here. ModzvilleUSA signing out.